Almost 17 years ago, I got off Calcutta-Bombay train and stood outside the railway station. I remember my son and daughter being there with me. We had 5 very heavy pieces of luggage. And the other station, my goodness, we all know, was living up to its reputation of being the most chaotic place on earth. The humidity and the heat was making my scalp itch. And not being able to find a taxi was only adding to my frustration. Oblivious to the hundreds of people around me, I momentarily let go of my son's hand, guided my right hand towards my head, and took the wig off my head in one clean sweep. Looking back, in that moment of unplanned defiance, I had reclaimed control. Yes, not too long before, I had decided to expose my bald head at the railway station. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. A few months into my sister's cancer diagnosis, it seemed like we were taking the term soul sister to a whole new level. Up until then, I did not know anyone who had the disease, didn't know much about it. All of a sudden, cancer was all around me. It was bizarre, like when you are pregnant and you start noticing only fellow pregnant women all around you. Like the 100,000 other women who get treated for breast cancer in India every year, I also went through my surgery, several doses of painful chemotherapy, followed by a couple dozen sessions of radiation. The reality of how I overcame my disease as a woman who had access to the best medical resources is not interesting at all. I might put up an argument in front of you and say, well, my fight was somewhat special, given that I was diagnosed with breast cancer a second time, 3 years later. But I'm sure all of you sitting here today would have heard more inspiring personal struggle stories, either from your friends, your family members, one of your colleagues. Let me tell you, it's isolating, dark, and difficult. Fearing for your life is an emotion. It's a state of mind. I don't think I can express it to you in any other way. I guess you understand it better when you go through the experience yourself. I was now a certified, the point of interest here is how cancer has helped define my life. It gave me a tag of a survivor, which I necessarily do not identify with. But more importantly, what it inspired me to do in the field of healthcare. The medical field had always fascinated me, even as a school and college-going girl. The complex anatomy and physiology of the human body held me in awe. While I aspired to be a doctor, the orthodox environment at home was a detriment. I somehow fought my way through to finish my bachelor's and then my master's in nutrition. Worked for a few years as a dietitian after I got married, but soon our 2 kids took my full attention, and my ties to the medical field grew weaker and weaker. Until many years later, I got a terrifying introduction when cancer came knocking. Believe me, I wouldn't have designed it or desired it, but it was an introduction nevertheless. I was now officially a 2-time breast cancer survivor. Word spread. Patient contacted me from all over to come. Patients contacted me from all over. I became the breast cancer agony aunt within my immediate and my much extended network. People sought me out for questions about my own ordeal, the best doctors to go to, details of the treatment process, navigate them through Bombay if they were traveling to get treated here, or sometimes just cry into my ears on the other end of the line. Cancer a word we avoided during my treatment at home, now became a frequent topic of conversation on our dinner table. While my husband and kids gave updates on what happened at school and at work, I would apprise them of patient updates. Which ones finished surgery, which ones went back to their hometowns, and occasionally, which one could not finish her fight. Cancer seemed to be everywhere. The pregnancy analogy was coming true again. As I continued my regular checkups at the hospital, I could not help notice that the number of patients coming to the hospital were increasing by the day. So much so that the physicians did not have the time to coach each patient about what to expect and even allay their fears. I obviously knew how terrifying this could be. Let me put this for you in a day-to-day context here. Maybe you have been given the toughest and the most important task of your life to do without giving you any resources to prepare for it. Or you're going to be appearing for your final exams without having classes to attend or books to read. Or better yet, you have to present to your senior management and you have no access to company data to prepare for your presentation. I saw a definite resource gap here, and I decided to do something to fill this gap. I moved away from my role as an agony aunt and formalized the way I interacted with patients, bringing in system-wide changes in the way patients interacted with their disease after surgery. After all, I had the prerequisite experience. Over the past 10 years now, I have been conducting formal post-operative care sessions at a large cancer hospital 3 times a week, along with other volunteers. We serve the more than 3,000 breast cancer patients that get treated here every year. My goal, I make sure that the session is attended by a required caregiver from the family, just to ensure that this patient has continued support at home during her physical and emotional ups and downs. My goal through these sessions is to empower women with awareness, make available to them all the critical information about resources, prepare her for the upcoming struggle that might surface during her treatment process, rekindle her inner strength, inspire her to think not just as a cancer patient, but continue living life as she had known it. Make her realize that she need not be fearing for her life all through the healing process. The transition from darkness to light and from isolation to independence that you see through these post-operative sessions is the most satisfying and rewarding aspect of my work. The session attendees also go home with a care kit. Nothing fancy at all. A scarf to cover their balding head, a cushion to distance the arm from the operated area, a stress ball for exercise, and a pink cloth bag to carry the drainage tube, without being embarrassed about it. Simple, obvious things, but makes them feel cared for and dignified. This feeling of self-worth is important because, as I found out, that the fight could continue for months or oftentimes for years. I want to introduce to you a dirty secret about breast cancer. And the dirty little secret is a term called lymphedema, a condition that causes severe swellings in the arm of patient where lymph nodes have been removed during surgery. Lymphedema, when managed, is a painful inconvenience. But when left unattended, the protein-rich lymph fluid would accumulate in the arms, solidify, and can give rise to severe pain and limitations in the range of motion. Unfortunately, there is no cure for this condition. Patients who develop it need to manage it their lifetime by bandaging their arm in a specific way through the night and wearing an uncomfortable compression garment through the day. I developed lymphedema in the year 2003. Not finding the right resources to guide me through this in India, I went to the US to learn lymphedema management. Grateful for the ability to do so. Upon returning back to India, I could not shake off the nagging thought that, oh my goodness, what is happening to the 30% odd breast cancer women who are developing this condition post-surgery and have virtually no access to any kind of resources to help them deal with this. I saw opportunity here. While I had progress from being the breast cancer agony aunt, my days of becoming lymphedema agony aunt were only beginning. And this soon became a critical part of my cancer care programs and initiatives. I did not have any designated space in the hospital for this, neither did I have an office. So my living room at home served as my informal clinic. Word spread, patients contacted me from all over to come learn lymphedema management. I made myself aware of the supply chain management basics, worked with vendors to design and create bandaging and other possible tools. In my living room, I demonstrated and taught patients what I had learned in the US, including a massage, exercises, proper bandaging techniques, use of compression sleeve, and connected them to vendors for their supplies. But just like pregnant women and breast cancer patients, lymphedema patients seem to be everywhere. Over the past 9 years, more than 3,800 women have come to my home clinic. That is more than one woman a day. And I say this not to demonstrate that I've done something worthy of mention, but to bring to light the huge need that exists for empathetic, effective, and patient-centric post-operative care in India. And so the living room model had to change. After many discussions with oncologists, hospital management, and physiotherapy departments, I was successful in launching India's first lymphedema center in the city of Indore. The compassionate support of corporate donors helped us equip the center with proper bandaging and other required tools. It also gives us a lymphopress machine that allows patients to experience relief possible through follow-up care. In the years that followed, a collective effort by incredibly inspiring people has helped me kickstart 25 lymphedema centers across 20 cities in India. Prior to each center opening up to serve, I personally trained the caregivers to ensure that patients are getting the best and the most current information and tools possible. Many more such centers are needed, and I promise I'll continue my effort. But I stand in front of you today satisfied that rather an unsustainable living room model has now been transformed into one which is more robust, widely accessible, and patient-friendly. And none of this would have been possible, of course, without the support of my incredibly loving family. When I think about life's experiences that might have helped me put a positive spin on what one may consider a major setback in life, the board game Scrabble comes to my mind. And all of you, please bear with me. I promise I'll bring it full circle for you. My husband and I are Scrabble fanatics. We are fiercely competitive about the game. And I pride myself on winning 75% of the games against him. He's in the audience, you can check with him. Rules are simple. You pick alphabet tiles, try and construct the best possible word on the board. If you do not like your tiles, you can skip your turn, score a 0, and swap out your tiles, hopefully for better ones. On 2 occasions in my life, the tiles I got spelled A cancer. The first time around, I absolutely hated what I was given. I didn't know what to do with it. Lost control, took a beating. The second chance, it spelled A cancer again. I couldn't afford to take a 0 or lose my turn. My goodness, I was trailing. I wasn't used to this. I needed to win. And that's exactly what I tried to do. I seized control, arranged and rearranged those dreadful tiles, until I discovered I could spell can race. I was amazed at what I was able to do, turning my sheer shot loss into my most decisive win yet. The wig I peeled off at the other station was awful to begin with. It felt fake, it looked fake, and yes, it was fake. I know I was only using it as a crutch to feel like a normal, healthy woman. Standing in the heat and sun that day, I realized that although cancer had been removed from my body, but it continued to plague me. I was living my life on cancer's terms, allowing it to construct my physical and mental self. Taking the wig off was as symbolic as it was cathartic. I would continue. Cancer has changed the grammar of my life. It tried hard, though, to pin me down as a victim. But I was able to loom large over it, not just by ridding myself of the disease, but channeling my pain into something positive, a growing initiative for lymphedema and breast cancer post-operative care. I would continue to have a love-hate relationship with cancer. It took my beautiful young sister away from me, made me feel less of a woman when I lost my hair or when my breasts were operated on, deprived me of several months spent playing Scrabble with my husband or listened to my kids talk about school. But it has given me so much. It made me discover how strong I am. It keeps me motivated. It taught me to serve with empathy, introduced me to some of my greatest friends and mentors, instilled in me the confidence to address an audience, made me feel part of a team and a crusade that is bigger than myself, got me super excited about my 50th birthday, a milestone I was almost certain of never meeting. And in an ironic sort of a way, fulfilled the dreams of a little girl who wanted to immerse herself in the field of healthcare. We all have cancers. Situations or biases that overtake our lives and come in our way. My cancer just happened to manifest itself as a physical disease. So just as I was able to rearrange my Scrabble tiles and turn my cancer around, I believe that we all have the ability to combat our cancers only if we want to find opportunities in opposition, sunshine in a storm, to accomplish in adversity, and finally rise as champions from challenges. And that, my friends, is an idea worth spreading. Thank you.